Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Salmon, certified holistic health coach and author of You Can Afford to Be Healthy. And this podcast looks at a holistic approach to health from a multi-generational and multinational perspective of women of color. On the blog, we have a whole plan of action for folks who are looking to lose weight and they've been having difficulty. And one of the reasons why they may have been having difficulty doing all the things that they feel is what they need to do to lose weight, it could be a hormonal imbalance that's causing that weight loss resistance. And so if you have some of these signs like fatigue, low energy, weight gain, foggy thinking, irritability, hair loss, digestive difficulties, heart palpitations, all of these are signs of hormonal imbalance. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, stress is the source, right? So the body undergoes stress from environmental factors like the foods that we eat, right? Because the food is coming from the outside and going inside. And the water we drink, the air around us, which we breathe in, it comes into our bodies, the products we use on our body, because our skin is really the largest organ, it's absorbing everything and it's getting into the bloodstream. And the products we use in our home, because the products we use in our home, including like the items we buy, furniture, like mattresses, couches, and things like that, they off gas. So all of those fumes we are inhaling, it is getting inside of us. And sometimes the sprays and particles are even landing on our skin. So either it's coming in through our nose or it's coming in through our skin. And so these are like the external stress, environmental stressors that can come in. Also, excess time on screens because of magnetic radiation and fields, the frequencies that we are being bombarded with, which is basically, we may go into this in more detail on a future episode, but all around us, there are electromagnetic frequencies because, like, for example, you have your router talking to your computer, which is talking to a cell tower. Your cell phone is talking to a cell tower talking to your router. All of these devices are communicating with each other, and these towers are communicating. So it's like we're in a sea of frequency we cannot like see with our eyes, but our body is still feeling the impact of it. So you may notice that when you're in front of like the TV screen or a computer screen, or you're sitting close to a router or a modem for long periods of time, that you feel like you're getting headaches or dizzy or really tired, stuff like that. That's what EMF is really all about, how it's impacting our body. So excess time on screens also adds that stress load. So on the blog, there's a whole like strategy. Right. And I take a 3-pronged approach using herbs, nutrition, and lifestyle. Now, on the podcast today, though, we're going to dig into just one piece of this, which is sleep, right? Because sleep is critical in balancing out our hormones and supporting our bodies in our weight loss efforts, right? But we had my dad on the podcast recently, and he was talking about, his hustle to build wealth. And a lot of folks are, have this kind of mentality that you need to grind hard, work hard, you can sleep when you're dead type of, type of mentality. So they sacrifice sleep trying to build generational wealth, and I understand the importance of that, especially in our community. But this idea, that he laid out about sacrifices need to be made. And so, he's unapologetic about the sleep that he didn't get, which is, everybody makes choices. But I wanted to know your thoughts on this. As a entrepreneur yourself, you were a business owner, had staff, also had being a Black woman, you have, the extra burden of like, you're doing all the outside things of being a business owner, being a boss, but then you also have children. You also have a mother you're taking care of, a home you're taking care of. So, what are your thoughts on this hustle hard to build wealth
It can
idea?
be, it can be done. We have done it, but every generation is different. What we did at the time when we were doing it, we never see it as so difficult. We just see it like, oh boy, I'm so tired. We didn't realize what we were putting into. We didn't even realize how hard it was until when you sit back and you look at it now, you say, how did I do it? But by the grace of God, see, God carry you through it and you don't realize how much God is taking you through it. I am one of those who my maximum sleep when I was younger was only 5 hours. And I thought, I'm well rested. It never bothers me. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt a little, I never fall asleep on a job because my job is physical. You don't fall asleep when you're physical. It's when you come home and you get tired and you have to, go. But I have very long hours and I made it through.
Hmm.
And you're right. And I had to take care of my children. I have to take care of my mom. Although I had somebody helping mom in the days, but when I come in the evening, I have to help her. And then I had somebody help taking care of you, but I'm still your mother. So I had still have my part to do. And I had to get up early in the morning and drop who I have to drop to school and do what I had to do. But I worked things out. Financially, it cost me, but I was able to work it out. But I got my full 5 hours. I don't know about the 8 and the 10, but I put in my 5 hours and hey, here I am today, enjoying 8 and 10 hours of sleep now. And it's beautiful. But I would encourage folks who are listening that when you can nap, nap. I think what it is, especially now, and then when I was doing what I was doing, we didn't have social media the way we have it now. There was nothing that would be enticing me to get on my phone or get on and I never watched much television. Never did. I disciplined myself that way. Any TV that I watch is when I'm at work. I turn it on for the customers, and that's it. But yes, people can get their sleep. Sleep when your kids sleep. For the people who are home with their kids and struggling, sleep when they sleep. When they're up, give them chores to do too. And that's how you teach your kids to do things. Let them put a thing at the sink and stand them up. Let them wash dishes. There's nothing wrong with that. Teach them home economics. Make it be fun. I used to do it with you, Sam.
Yeah, I was a baker. That was my that
Yeah,
was my thing.
I used to have you washing the dishes, and as soon as you turn your back, I wash them over. But you didn't know.
Why were
Uh
you
huh.
washing my dishes over?
Well, see what? You're doing it now because you check the dishes, you wash them over. So it come back to you now. Okay, come back to me.
Yeah.
Let it be fun. Like let
Hmm.
those things be fun. Sleep when your kids sleep. Like you're putting your kids in bed. And sometimes, honestly, I never did it, but I'm encouraging people not to do it. Walk away from housework. Don't think that you have to have the don't leave a lot of dishes in your sink because I think the minute you put a dish in there, just rinse it out. Even if you don't stock the sink rack, but rinse it out. Get rid of whatever will harbor whatever. But don't be so. Some people are too clean, if you know what I mean, or too much a germophobia. You can't do certain things until you go to bed. See, I used to be like that, but I realized it was not the best thing. It's a nice thing when you get up in the morning, you can go to your kitchen and make a cup of tea and you don't have to wash anything. That is nice. But it's not reality.
Yeah.
Sleep sleep when your kids sleep.
I noticed that with some people, it's like it gives them some kind of mental peace, when they go to bed and the kitchen is clean.
Yeah.
Specifically women. I've never heard it from men, but I've definitely heard it
Well,
from
I
women.
know. I know quite a few men who is like that. Yeah, I know quite a few men who is like that. They're in our family. I won't call it names, but
Well,
we have we
remember
have
to tell me after. Studies show that Black women are starting new businesses faster than anyone else. And I I completely understand, the amount of stress. First of all, from the woman perspective, we just talked about that, like the double burden of a woman, right? You're trying to excel out here in the world in the career space, and then you still have to take care of the household duties. Um and then as a black woman, you're dealing with racism on top of that. So I fully understand why black women is the largest, fastest group of folks who are embracing entrepreneurship. And we know that ownership is a pipeline to wealth and financial independence. I think we've made a great case for that in our last few episodes, just showing, you know, the very comfortable childhood that I had based off of all the work and that you and daddy did before I even came on to the scene. Um so we get that, right? That's not lost on us. But how did you balance work and working out? Because we know that exercise, that's part of the lifestyle piece. Like we have to exercise, and that needs to be, you know, a priority. So how do you feel, like was it a priority for you? Did you make it happen? And if so, how did you make it happen?
Okay, let me keep it real. Um, Before I even answer that question, let me just say something. See, I've never worked in the corporate arena. So stress is something that I've never dealt with, like coming from work and have to worry about the stress. No. Honestly, while I was working on my customers, and if I have a customer stress me out, I keep praying to God and I say, yes, Lord, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And I use those words and it get me through the day. But I always find myself into a psychiatry position, like being a psychiatrist for my customers. And sometimes I don't realize it until they say it. They'll say, I love sitting in your chair because I come here not just with my hair, but with my troubles and I listen to them. When I give God thanks in everything that I do, whenever I speak, I am very humbled to tell you that God has blessed me through everything. The part about being uh, faithful to exercising or try to exercise, I started doing it when I was getting too fat. I never liked the way I was looking. The way I was looking around in my body, my face wasn't going with it. And I said to myself, and even speaking, talking to people, and being a beautician, you have to look beautiful. And looking beautiful to me is not having your body, when you have your clothes on, you can count sections of your body. I never liked that look. And I don't wear tight clothes. So what I'll do, and again, I'm giving the God thanks. I was exercising mostly after I had you. I had a treadmill in my bedroom and I had, someone taking care of you in the morning. So it gave me that time and I get up very early to do my exercise. And I was doing fine. I was doing very fine because um I wasn't eating on time. I wasn't doing anything on time. But when it come on to exercise, I make time for that.
Mm-hmm.
I got disciplined after I had you because I realized that I was putting on too much weight. I was 197 when I was pregnant. I've never been that big in my entire life. So I had to exercise. I didn't like the way I was looking.
I hear you saying you hired help a lot, which, you know, for that's like I think a crucial thing for women who are in demanding positions, where you're working ridiculously long hours. Like you used to work like 12-hour days.
No, put it 16 sometimes.
So yeah,
I'll go
16 on Saturdays for sure. And like, you
I'll go to
know,
work at 7:30 in the morning and sometimes I don't get back home till 1, 2 o'clock the next day in the morning. Yes. But that's
yeah.
not all. But that's when I was really pushing it
Hmm.
because I had that much customers. And I was like the key person because I still didn't get a head person in the shop. I had a head person once, but she was actually working for herself. Yeah. But
Hmm.
you got to do what you got to do as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you think it's possible to build generational wealth, sleep 8 hours, eat clean, which may involve some meal prep, and exercise regularly?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible. You know, when you talk about build wealth, I'm going to tell you how I believe in building wealth. I believe that as a parent, you work hard. Yes. Feed your children well because they need proper food to let their brain function, and give them good education. You educate them and they'll go, and that's how you start to build. In order for you to build, you got to build your children. That's where the building starts.
Hmm.
Proper discipline, and they get good education, they go out and they start to help themselves, and that's where you see the building start. Building well to me is building knowledge in your children. Once you have the knowledge, nobody can take that away from you. See, because I don't consider ourselves financially wealthy, but I think we are wealthy people because we have the knowledge, and knowledge is very powerful.
Yeah. Well, wealth by definition means you have assets, you have a good income, which of course now you and daddy are retired. So, um, but you have assets. And when you were working, you had a good enough income where you were hiring help and putting your kids through private school and paying for their college education. And low to no debt. These
Mhm.
are all the three factors of wealth building, right?
In
And
the second,
so in that, and by that economic definition, obviously you and the family are wealthy, you know.
well,
But
something.
of course we're not what Bill Gates or whatever, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? But
oh,
by the economic definition of wealth, you
okay.
have wealth.
In the secular world, yes,
Yeah.
yes, because I tell you something, you have to have spiritual wealth also. It needs both.
Amen.
Hallelujah. You need both because one cannot go without the other. It's that's like trying to lead somebody that's blind. Knowledge comes from God. So first you have to put God first, and then you start to build. Because you cannot take a house and build it in sand. It will not stand. So you first have to have God present in things before you start to build. And
Mhm.
this is why I said financially we are not wealthy, but thank God we are wealthy people by the grace of God.
Yes. And like last year, I really tried to incorporate a lot of spirituality in our conversations on the podcast because I don't really talk about it that often on the blog. And you may not even see it in this hormonal imbalance strategy to mitigate that, to get your hormones back in balance. But I've personally found that specifically around stress, having a spiritual anchor helps to keep you, because even if you get, because I'm going to be very transparent and honest, I have moments where, and even things are going great from the outside, things look great, I'm excelling. I will have moments where I'm like drowning in low moods, like completely as if someone dragged me down, into a dark, dark place. But I always find my way back to my spiritual practice that helps me get back to myself. I'm reminded of who I am, when that dark cloud is not over me, and it it helps to just keep you moving forward, because when you get down into these low moods, from and they could be coming from a variety of of places, you know. Sometimes it's your mind working tricks on you or whatever. You're triggered by certain conversations or experiences, some kind of trauma or whatever. But sometimes it is actual environmental factors like we talked about before. There could be mold and other toxins that are coming into the body, off gassing from cars and different things where you live, or something in the home. Maybe you did a remodel and there's like fumes or something in the carpet or whatever that could be actually triggering signs of depression within you, you know. And so while we want to clean up our external environment, we want to clean up our diet, I find the spiritual piece is a huge
Yeah,
anchor.
it is
it's
important.
it's the through line, you know, so you don't get stuck there.
This is why joy is so important. Like when you think of joy and happiness, they're two different things.
Hmm.
See, once you have joy down in your heart, that joy gonna pull you back up.
All of St. John's choir is singing now, right? I got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Well, yeah. And you must remember too, you're under the human condition. So although we have joy in our heart, we don't walk around looking like everything
Yeah,
is no. It's we're
because we
not that.
keeps it real.
No, we are under the human condition.
Yeah.
But if somebody look at you and say, "Why you always happy?" You says, "There's joy in my heart." And the joy you have here, the world don't give it to you. The world don't give it, and the world can't take it away. So every time that you feel down, just remember that there's joy in your heart.
Hmm.
Because things might look down, but for you to depress yourself about it, it's not going to help the
And you
situation.
know what? Honestly, um, like I said, there's many different factors, right? Because you were saying, like, you know, you at one point you were on 5 hours of sleep, but also during that time, I remember you saying in some earlier episodes that you were drinking like what, 8 cups of coffee or something.
13 cups of coffee a day. remember,
Yes.
yes, so it keep me going.
So
That's why this,
you running on caffeine. And what we know about caffeine is that for a lot of people, that actually is inflammatory to the intestinal lining and can lead to leaky gut, which means that there are punctures in your intestines, which actually causes signs of depression, mood outbursts, hormonal imbalance, all these things. And you know, and then on top of that, the foods we're eating. So like back in the day, 50 years ago, and of course you're way older than 50, but 50 years ago, the wheat that we were consuming was a lot different. Right now, because of glyphosate and all sorts of pesticides on our food supply, we have way more food sensitivities than before, you know, because the food is different, because we're under such a bombardment of all these chemicals. You know what could have been okay for you at that time with all the caffeine and all of the lack of sleep. Now, what we're seeing now is people dealing with chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, hormonal imbalance, weight gain, mood disruption, mental disorders, at higher rates because of, you know, the culmination of all of these things.
yeah. But it doesn't mean that it didn't affect me though. But way down the road, I found out that I had what you call tachycardia, like a heart palpitation. Not that they tell me the coffee caused it, but those are the things that you can be going through stress and don't even know you're going through it.
Hmm.
Because as I said, when you're younger, you don't see things. I know with this generation, as young as they are, they get very stressed out and they can tell you it's stress. When I was at that young age, I couldn't even tell you what stress was. I hear people, older people talk about it. I say, what are they talking about? I couldn't tell you what it was. I was just too busy.
Hmm.
I didn't put a name on it. I don't know. I just thought it was a normal way to go to deal with issues as you go along.
Yeah,
It's
to
gonna
just
come.
work, which I've done. I've literally like immersed myself in work, and sometimes, like, you know, I have these different areas of work that I'm in where I coach folks, and then I have my podcast, but then there's nonprofit work that I do and policy work. And so when one area is really annoying me or getting on my nerves, like I'm tired of, the topic, the people, whatever, I move over to the other area and just delve deep. And even with my work, just in general, diving deep in these areas, so I don't really have to deal with other areas of my life that maybe is just, it feels too overwhelming or stressful to even deal with, right? So work becomes escape. And then what happens is you become a workaholic and
Exactly.
then you burn out.
Yeah.
And then you want to just drop everything. So that's kind of like what's happening in with people right now. But definitely take a look at the blog. The link is going to be in the show notes to this episode. With lifestyle changes, you can fix this and keep getting to your goal, to your weight loss goal. And there's lots of resources on the blog for you, including the Self Care Salon program, where you'll get recipes, meal plans, to get all of the nutrients that you need for hormonal balance. You'll be avoiding all of the foods that you shouldn't have that actually exacerbate hormonal imbalance, like processed foods, dairy, soda, even if it's diet soda. Don't let diet soda fool you. Refined sugar, salt, too much salt, and chemicals, like we were talking about before. And herb recommendations are also on the blog. So make sure to check that out. Exercise, like we said, is really critical when it comes to balancing out hormones. And for the next 30 days in the Self Care Salon program, we have a Get Active, Stay Active challenge to encourage daily activity. There will be daily check ins, so we hold each other accountable. And we also go into more stress relieving techniques in the Self Care for Less Stress program, which is my latest program. It's now in beta mode. So it's at a really great affordable price of $19. So you definitely want to get in there. This is like my home base whenever I feel like I'm, kind of veering off of my sacred rituals and my practices that I know keep me grounded, peaceful, harmonious. These are all the techniques that I'm utilizing to keep myself really at peace. And there's a lot of elements to it. So I go into all of that. We incorporate meditation, prayer, essential oils, crystals, and different practices so that your whole day is composed of sacred rituals, to keep you in that spiritual attunement that is
Mhm.
the through line to get you through life and life's hard challenges. So hopefully this episode was a blessing. Definitely make sure to click on the link underneath to get access to all of those great resources.